What if the dream that took years to build is now the very thing tearing everything apart? Matt Roloff's long-awaited $1.4 million dream home, the one he proudly called his forever house, is now surrounded by shocking rumors, emotional fallout, and family tension. What went wrong? How could a project that was meant to bring peace and legacy end up dividing everyone it was meant to unite? In today's breaking story, we're diving deep into the unfolding drama surrounding Little People, Big World star Matt Roloff, and the multi-million-dollar dream home that has become one of the most talked-about projects in the show's history. For years, this home symbolized Matt's triumph, a testament to his determination and vision for the future. But now it's being described by fans as a possible mistake. From the jaw-dropping $1.4 million price tag to the emotional cost that can't be measured, we'll uncover how this dream home came to life, what really went wrong after it was finally completed, and how one man's dream may have forever changed the Roloff family's future. Stay tuned, because what started as a story of hope and ambition might end as one of heartbreak and regret. Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. For Roloff family latest news update, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. For Matt Roloff, the dream home wasn't just another construction project. It was a personal mission, a testament to his perseverance, his independence, and his vision of leaving behind a legacy that would outlive him. For decades, viewers of Little People, Big World watched Matt pour his heart into Roloff farms, from pumpkin season events to intricate building projects. But this house, this was different. This wasn't just a structure. It was his dream, one that had been quietly growing in his mind long before the first foundation was laid. After years of delays, design challenges, and countless revisions, Matt's $1.4 million dream home began to rise from the fertile Oregon soil of Roloff Farms. Every inch of it reflected his vision, spacious, rustic, yet modern. It had everything he ever wanted: high ceilings, open beams, custom woodwork, and breathtaking views of the property he built from the ground up. To him, it wasn't about luxury. It was about finally building a place where he could feel free, where his physical limitations wouldn't hold him back, and where his family could one day gather under one roof again. It was more than a home, it was a statement of triumph. For a man who had faced challenges his entire life, including dwarfism and multiple surgeries, this house represented victory. Fans celebrated his progress on social media, calling it Matt's masterpiece and the house he always deserved. It seemed like the perfect ending to his long journey on Little People, Big World. But behind the applause, something deeper was happening. As construction went on, whispers began to surface, questions about who the house was really for. Was it truly a dream built for himself, or an effort to fill the emptiness that had grown since his divorce from Amy Roloff? Some fans noticed how the project started soon after the emotional end of Matt and Amy's marriage, and after his new relationship with Karen Chandler began. What began as a symbol of rebirth soon became a source of quiet tension. The house, perched proudly on the Roloff property, wasn't just a home, it was a dividing line. One side saw it as a monument to Matt's hard work and creativity. The other saw it as a painful reminder of the family that had drifted apart. Over time, even the atmosphere around the farm seemed to change. While Matt beamed with pride, his children appeared distant from the project. Rumors began swirling that some of them didn't fully support his decision to keep the property rather than share ownership. The dream home, once imagined as a family gathering place, instead became a symbol of separation. Matt himself described the building process as bittersweet. He poured in everything he had financially and emotionally. Reports suggest he spent more than $1.4 million on materials, equipment, and design, refusing to cut corners. Every nail, every window, every plank of wood carried meaning. It was as if he was trying to craft not just a home, but a second chance at happiness, a permanent mark of his story. Yet as the walls rose, so did the emotional walls between him and those closest to him. Fans began to sense the irony. The man who built the biggest house on the farm was living more alone than ever. And that's when the deeper questions started to surface. Was Matt really building a dream home, or was he trying to rebuild the pieces of a broken heart? Because behind every polished surface and grand design, there was a story of longing for connection, for forgiveness, for family, for peace. The house stood tall, yes, a remarkable achievement for a man who had always dreamed big. But its towering frame also cast long shadows of the past, of regrets, and of relationships that had fractured along the way. And as the dust settled and the final touches were added, the dream home that was supposed to bring everyone together might have been the very thing that pushed them even further apart. When Matt Roloff first envisioned his forever home, it wasn't about luxury, it was about legacy. He wanted something that would stand as a symbol of everything he'd built over the decades. Roloff Farms, the show, his family, his perseverance. But as time went on, what started as a dream gradually turned into a financial storm, one that would test not only his wallet but his relationships too. Early reports suggest that Matt initially planned for a relatively modest retirement house, something functional, cozy, and personal. But as plans evolved, so did the price tag. Construction delays, material shortages during the post-pandemic building surge, and multiple design revisions all played their part. What began as a project under $600,000 reportedly ballooned into an eye-watering $1.4 million investment. Matt spared no expense. From custom woodwork to panoramic windows overlooking the farm, from specialized accessibility designs to hand-picked finishes, every detail was meant to reflect a lifetime of work. He wanted it to be perfect. But perfection came with a cost, and not just in dollars. Behind the scenes, the mounting expenses became a point of quiet concern. According to insiders, some family members and even a few close friends worried that Matt was pouring too much money, energy, and emotion into something that might never truly feel like home. After all, the dream house stood on a farm now largely divided both financially and emotionally from his children. Zach and Jeremy had already distanced themselves from the property after failed negotiations to buy part of the land. The once family hub had become in many ways Matt's solo project. So when fans learned of the $1.4 million figure, reactions were mixed. Some praised his determination and hard work. He's earned it, they said. Others couldn't help but wonder, was this dream home a triumph or a symbol of everything that went wrong? Social media comments revealed that fans felt conflicted. Many longtime viewers who remembered the farm as a place where the Roloff kids grew up learning life's lessons saw the house as a painful reminder that the family would likely never gather there again. "It's beautiful," one viewer wrote, "but it feels empty without them." Financially, it was a risky move. The Oregon real estate market had cooled, costs had surged, and the farm's future remained uncertain after years of family disputes and failed sale listings. And yet, Matt kept building, driven by a mix of pride, nostalgia, and perhaps the need to prove that his vision still mattered. Money in this case wasn't just a resource, it became a reflection of emotion. Every dollar invested carried weight, a response to loss, a statement of independence, a final claim to the Roloff legacy. But as the construction dragged on, the project became something larger, a metaphor for the family's story itself. Like the house, the Roloff family's legacy had been built over years of dedication and sacrifice. And just like the project, it had grown complicated, expensive, and deeply personal. The dream home was no longer just about walls and windows. It was about identity, pride, and the hope that something tangible could outlast the pain of division. By the time the home neared completion, Matt had not only invested millions but also much of his emotional energy. To some, the price of the house symbolized success, a man who turned challenges into achievements. To others, it was a painful reminder of the family unity that money couldn't buy back. In the end, the $1.4 million house wasn't just a piece of property. It became the ultimate test of what Matt's legacy would mean, not just for him, but for the Roloff name itself. Would it stand as a monument to hard work and vision, or as the final wall built between a father and his family? The unveiling of Matt Roloff's dream home was supposed to be a unifying moment, a symbol of everything the Roloff family had built together over decades. Yet, for many watching closely, it seems to have done the opposite. What was meant to represent legacy and love has reportedly become a painful reminder of division, miscommunication, and lingering resentment. When the first glimpses of the home surfaced online, Amy Roloff's reaction was emotional but complicated. She expressed pride in Matt's perseverance, acknowledging that the house was in many ways the culmination of his life's work. But her words carried a tone of melancholy. For Amy, the house stood on land that once symbolized family unity, the same property where she and Matt raised their children, built their dreams, and later watched those dreams unravel. She reportedly admitted that while she admired Matt's ambition, she couldn't ignore the bittersweet reality that the home marked the final closure of their shared chapter. It was no longer their farm, it was his. Meanwhile, Zach and Tori Roloff's reaction added another layer of tension. After the well-documented fallout over the Roloff Farms negotiations, the couple had already distanced themselves both physically and emotionally from Matt. To them, the new house seemed to represent a decision made without family collaboration, a decision that effectively pushed them further away. Reports suggest Zach was frustrated that the once family farm had turned into what he saw as Matt's personal empire. He felt that the spirit of the farm, the one his parents had worked so hard to nurture, had been lost. Tori, ever the peacemaker, tried to maintain some distance from the conflict, but even she couldn't hide her disappointment. For years, the Roloff Farms had been a symbol of possibility for their children, and now it felt like a dream they'd never be part of. Jeremy Roloff, on the other hand, had his own reaction, one rooted in quiet frustration and lingering hope. While Jeremy and his wife Audrey have pursued their own ventures off the farm, Jeremy had reportedly shown interest in preserving a piece of his family's legacy. He had dreams of raising his own family on part of the Roloff land, continuing what his parents began. But according to reports, communication between him and Matt had grown strained, and his efforts to reach a compromise seemed to hit a dead end. To Jeremy, Matt's new house wasn't just a personal project, it was a signal that the patriarch had moved on without him. It became a reminder of the disconnect between generations and between what the family once stood for versus what it had become. Fans quickly noticed the divide. Social media discussions and Reddit threads filled with observations about how the family's tone toward one another had subtly shifted. Family photos became less frequent. Posts about the farm were noticeably missing from Zach and Tori's feeds. Even Amy, who often shared glimpses of her life with Chris Merrick, appeared cautious when mentioning the property she once called home. One fan commented, "It's ironic that house was supposed to be the family's crowning achievement, but now it just feels like a monument to everything they've lost." Another wrote, "You can see it in Amy's eyes, pride mixed with pain. That farm was her life for 30 years, and now it's something she can only look at from afar." As weeks turned into months, what should have been a unifying project became a wedge driven deeper into already fragile relationships. Each Roloff seemed to process the dream home in their own way. For Amy, it was closure. For Zach and Tori, distance. For Jeremy, disappointment. And for Matt, perhaps a sense of accomplishment shadowed by isolation. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. The massive, custom-built home sat proudly on Roloff Farms, beautiful yet strangely empty, a reflection of what the Roloffs had become, a family bound by legacy but fractured by choices. And as fans watched from the sidelines, they couldn't help but wonder. Was Matt's dream home really the start of his next chapter, or the final chapter in the Roloff family story? As Matt Roloff's dream home neared completion, one person's presence, and at times her absence, became impossible to ignore: Karin Chandler. For years, Karin wasn't just Matt's partner, she was also his closest ally in managing the daily demands of Roloff Farms. Fans had often credited her with helping Matt find happiness again after his divorce from Amy, giving him a sense of emotional balance and partnership he desperately needed. When Matt began designing his new home, many assumed it was as much Karin's dream as it was his own. He even described it in interviews as "our place," emphasizing that the house would be where they'd grow old together, a symbol of the next chapter in their love story. But as the walls went up and the project stretched on, that dream reportedly began to feel heavier than ever. Insiders close to the Roloffs claimed that Karin wasn't as involved in the planning as many fans believed. While Matt spent countless hours perfecting every design detail, from accessibility features to the layout of his personal workshop, Karin allegedly began to step back. Some say she grew tired of the endless construction delays and ballooning costs, while others suggest she simply didn't share Matt's emotional attachment to the property. The financial side of the build didn't make things easier. With costs soaring past $1.4 million, the stress reportedly started to take its toll. Friends of the couple hinted that Karin questioned whether it was all worth it, especially with tensions already brewing between Matt and his children over the sale of Roloff Farms. Some fans noticed subtle hints online: fewer posts of Karin at the farm, fewer smiles beside Matt during key updates, and began to wonder if something had changed. Rumors spread quickly. Was Karin frustrated by the cost? Or was she hurt that Matt had taken control of the entire process without her input? Others speculated that the two simply had different visions for their future. Karen, who had already endured years of family drama surrounding the farm, was reportedly ready to move off the property entirely, craving peace, privacy, and a clean start. But for Matt, Roloff Farms wasn't just land. It was his legacy, his life work, and the place he wanted to stay forever. This difference in perspective may have created a silent divide, one that neither of them fully addressed publicly. What was once supposed to be a symbol of love and partnership began to represent something else: sacrifice, exhaustion, and uncertainty. Fans began to question whether Karen's patience had run out, especially as whispers surfaced about her spending more time away from the property. Emotionally, it must have been devastating for Matt. The house that was meant to be their forever home may have slowly become a reminder of everything fragile in their relationship. And for Karen, the dream home might not have felt like a dream at all, but a beautiful cage, tying her to a place filled with conflict and criticism. So was this house their fresh start, the symbol of a shared future built on love and resilience? Or was it, unknowingly, the breaking point, the moment their dreams finally diverged and the cracks in their relationship began to show? What began as a home may have ended up as a test of their bond, one that neither money nor love could easily fix. The dream home is done. The walls are painted, the furniture is in place, and the sprawling property stands as a monument to decades of hard work. But for Matt Roloff, the man who poured his heart, energy, and millions of dollars into making it happen, life after the dream hasn't been quite as peaceful as fans might have imagined. Now that the home is reportedly complete, Matt faces something far more challenging than construction delays or budget overruns: the quiet aftermath. The cameras have slowed, the fanfare has faded, and what remains is a sprawling house that feels emptier than it should. Matt's social media presence has offered small but telling glimpses into his current state of mind. His posts are often reflective, almost nostalgic, filled with gratitude for the journey, yet tinged with a certain loneliness that fans can't ignore. The man who once beamed with excitement about designing his forever home now seems to be searching for what comes next. He occasionally shares videos of the farm, the gardens, or quiet moments with Karen, but fans have noticed that there's something missing: the family energy that once defined Roloff Farms. The laughter of children running through the pumpkin patches, the bustling gatherings, the family dinners, they're now distant memories. And that's the heartbreaking irony. Matt built his dream home to symbolize everything he worked for: legacy, family, and love. Yet in the process, that very dream may have deepened the fractures within the Roloff family. When you finally have everything you wanted, the land, the house, the success, what happens when there's no one left to share it with? That's the haunting question fans keep asking. Some say Matt seems proud but isolated. Others sense regret behind his confident smiles. In interviews, he's spoken about turning the page and focusing on new beginnings, but it's hard to overlook the weight of what's been lost along the way. Even as the home stands tall, the legacy of Roloff Farms hangs in the balance. Who will inherit it? Will it stay in the family, or will it eventually be sold, closing the final chapter on the Roloff family's iconic Oregon story? Zach and Jeremy, the twin sons who once played among the fields as children, have distanced themselves from the property. Zach has built his life with Tori and their kids elsewhere. Jeremy, too, has moved on, focusing on his own ventures with Audrey. Amy, the matriarch, has made peace in her own way, remarried, building a new life with Chris Merrick, but still emotionally connected to the farm that raised her children. And then there's Karen Chandler, the partner who stood by Matt's side through it all. She's moved into this new home with him, yet fans sense that even she feels the emotional shadow that lingers over Roloff Farms. Many longtime viewers of Little People, Big World are left wondering if this is the end of an era. The show that once celebrated family unity has transformed into something else entirely, a chronicle of distance, choices, and the price of dreams. Some fans speculate that the upcoming seasons may focus less on the family togetherness and more on individual lives: Matt's retirement, Karen's new beginnings, Amy's adventures with Chris, and the kids carving their own paths. Others believe the show might soon conclude altogether, with the farm's story closing alongside it. Either way, the dream home stands as a powerful metaphor. What began as a symbol of perseverance and triumph now carries a bittersweet meaning, a reminder that success can't replace connection, and legacy means little without love to anchor it. Matt once said he hoped the home would be a gathering place for future generations. But now, fans aren't so sure whether those generations will ever return. The Roloff name will always be tied to that land, but whether the family itself will ever truly reunite on it remains uncertain. As the sun sets over Roloff Farms, the home glows warmly in the twilight, beautiful, grand, and silent. It's the house that Matt dreamed of his entire life, standing proud against the Oregon sky. But perhaps in chasing perfection, he built more than a home. Perhaps he built a monument to the very thing he lost along the way, his family's unity. And now, fans are left with one final question. After the dream, what's left for Matt Roloff? In the end, Matt Roloff's dream home wasn't just a construction project. It was the culmination of decades of hard work, vision, and an unshakable desire to leave something lasting behind. On paper, it cost roughly $1.4 million. But in reality, the true cost went far beyond money. It was built on sacrifice, on long days, broken family ties, and emotional distance that no amount of square footage could ever fill. For Matt, this home represented security, a fortress against time, loneliness, and regret. Every brick told a story, every room carried a memory of what he hoped would be shared laughter, family gatherings, and a legacy that would outlive him. But as the walls went up, so too did the barriers between him and the people he loved most. The sad irony is that while Matt was building his dream, the dream of family unity, the foundation of everything the Roloffs once stood for was quietly crumbling. The Roloff Farms, once a symbol of togetherness, has become a patchwork of emotional distance and unspoken pain. And in that silence, fans can't help but wonder, was it worth it? Maybe that's the lesson here, that permanence can't be poured in concrete or measured in blueprints. Because sometimes, in trying to hold onto something forever, we end up losing what truly matters most. Reflective closing thought. Sometimes the biggest mistakes aren't made with money or materials, but with the heart. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time,